Karkadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet Shevuos, Daf Lamed He Amud Aleph 35a1 says the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Mashbi'ani alechem im lo tavoi teoduni she'amar ish ploni liten li 200 zuz velo natan. Imagine right now, somebody comes to Edim, and he wants to make them swear, if they're not going to come and testify about him, that this certain person, Mr. John Doe, is obligated to give him 200 zuz. And he didn't give it to him. Now they come and they say, what are you talking about? We don't know anything. Harelu pturim, they're going to be patur. She'en chayavim el al tviyat mamon kepikadon, because they're only going to be, right, they're lamed hey, right? He said they're only going to be chayav when it's going to be tviyat mamon like a pikadon, right? Which means that he has to give back like a pikadon. So too has to be like a tviyah. It has to be that they're demanding the witnesses to come, that he has to pay for something. But if it's going to be stam, like a matana, right, there no. Yeah, one more time. Right? Here we have two people coming and saying, right, he comes to two people and say, you guys, I want you guys to testify, right, that this guy said he's going to give me a present. He said, we have no idea what you're talking about. Right? And they swear to him. Now, obviously, they swore falsely. So you would think they have to bring korban for Shevuot Edut. They're patur. Why are they patur? Because when we said that it has to be a concept of money, it has to be a concept of money like pikadon. What was pikadon? I gave you a collateral, right? And then I come and I tell you, where's my collateral? I don't have it. What? What are you talking about? Swear? He swears. That's called Shevuot pikadon. Here, it's not a pikadon. I come and I tell you that you owe me money. Fine, that's like a pikadon. Same thing. But a present, no, a pikadon. You're obligated to me. You said you're going to give me a present. Telling me that you're going to give me a present has nothing to do with the concept of, it's not the same status. Meaning like this. For us to obligate you, Shevuot Edut, it has to be the same status quo. It's to be very similar. It cannot be out of the box. So within the box, I have pikadon. What is pikadon? I'm demanding you owe me something. What do you owe me? I gave you a collateral. You owe it to me. I gave you a loan. I tell me, you owe me money. Fine. Right? I sold you something. You owe me money. Fine. Coming and saying that you owe me a present, that's not pikadon. That's completely out of the box. That he owes me, that he said he's going to give me a present. Says the Mishnah, Mashbi'ani alechem shetedu li edut shetavoi v'teduni. If he comes and he tells the two people, I'm making you swear that you know about me, testimony in the future, that you're going, also they're going to be pturim. Right? So he says, why? Here the Shevuah comes before the Edut, instead of the Edut coming before the Shevuah. So imagine right now, I come and I say, I want you guys to testify for me, right? If you know about me, a testimony. Right? In the future. Latid lavo, latid, in the future. So I come and I make you guys swear. And all of a sudden, you guys come in and see, I lent him the $200. So now I come in and tell you, you guys have to testify. No, we don't know anything. You're patur. Why? Because the Shevuah came before the Edut. The Edut always has to be first, and then the Shevuah. Not the Shevuah before the Edut. Third case. Amad bebet knesset ve'amar. Imagine a person goes into the synagogue, right? Imagine he's in the Bet Knesset and he says, right, to the Kahal, Mashbi'ani alechem shimatem yodim li edut shetavou v'teuduni. Right? I'm going to make you guys swear that if you guys know testimony about me, you're going to come and testify. Two people are there, right? They did know the edut, but they said they didn't know. They're pturim. Why? She'ad sheyeh mitkaven lahem. He has to designate them. You can't do it klali. You can't do it, this is not general, right? It has to be specific. You have to zoom in. You can't, any of you guys know. No. Who are you talking to? To you and to you, right? It can be, in general. Case number 4. Amar le'shnaim. He comes and he tells two people. You're checking it up. Mashbi'a ani alechem. He comes and he says, Mashbi'ani alechem ish ploni uploni, shimatem yodim li edut shetavo v'teduni, שבועה שאין אנו יודעים לך עדות. והם יודעים לו עדות עד מפי עד. One of them is right. What happens here, he does it properly. He goes to two witnesses. He makes them swear about knowing Edut. Now, the thing is that they make the vow. They swear. Now, the truth is, though, that they do know the Edut. But they only know the Edut ed mipi ed. Meaning not firsthand. They only know from one thing to another. Or or one of them is a family member or pasul. Right? He gambles, he does this, he does that. They're going to be patur. Why? Because again, it's not kosher. Case number 5. Shalach biyad. Imagine right now, he sends in the hands of a shaliach to make the edim swear. Or she'Elmaleh nitba, right? Or he tells them, mashpia ani alechem, shimatem yodim li'edut, shetavoru v'tzodui. Right? And they were kofed. Right? Arelum peturin, they're going to be patur. Ad shishmeu mipi hatovea. They have to hear it from, right, the mouth of the tovea. Right? It always has to be the one that's demanding it, the one that's asking for it. Meaning he cannot send a shaliach, he cannot send anybody else. It has to be that they can't do it on their own. You remember we already learned. It has to be that the one that's demanding the witnesses, he has to ask them. He wants them to swear, right, in order to come and to give the testimony. We just finished the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Mashpi'ani alechem im lo tavoi tuduni she'amar ish plonin litem yitam mimzuz velo natan. Yachol yu chayavin. I would have thought to say that they're going to be chayav. Tamu lomar techeta techeta. It's written two times. Techeta legzera shava. It says by Shevuot ha'edut techeta, and it says by Shevuot ha'pikadon techeta. Just like over there, Shevuot pikadon has to be tfiat mamon v'yeshlo. It has to be that he's demanding money and he's got it. Right? So tu afkan has to be b'tfiat mamon v'yeshlo. What does that mean? It's not just enough to do with the tfiat mamon. Here it's tfiat mamon sheyesh lo latovea biyad nitba. Right? Meaning that he already has it, not that he's going to have it. Right? When I come in, I tell you I'm going to give you a present. Right now you don't have it. You might only have it in the future. So therefore it has to be like Shevuot Pikadon. You have it now. It has to be Tviat Mamon sheyesh lo et ze achshav, lo sheyeh lo et ze. So because of that, right, it doesn't count. That's to do with a matana. Next part of the Mishnah. If he comes and he tells two witnesses, in the future, we said you're going to be patur. I would have thought to say you're going to be chayav. Here it says ושמע כל עלה, and then והוא עד או ראה או ידע, and then he's going to swear. So it has to be that the edut comes before the shevuah, and not that the shevuah comes before the edut. If you swear in the future, right, you don't know what's happening. So because of that, the edut is not chal. Okay. Third case, he comes into the Bet Knesset, and he says, yeah, if you want to move over a little bit, yeah, he says, right, he comes to the Bet Knesset, yeah, and he says, Mashpiani alechem, yeah, you have to swear to me, right, and he's telling everybody, Amar Shmuel, says Shmuel, afilu edav benehen, even if the edim are there, right, it still doesn't help. Why? Because at the end of the day, right, it wasn't specific. They weren't specified. Yeah, so ask the Gemara, Pshita, obviously, right? So says the Gemara, Lo tzricha, what are we dealing with? Tekai lavaihu, right? That really be'emet, he's right beside them. So Mao the Tema, I would have thought to say, Keman dama lehudami. It's like he's telling them mefurash. Kamashmalan, the fact that he didn't designate them, it's not enough. Tanya Miyachi, we also learned this in a Braita. He comes and he says, Ra'as siyah shel bnei adam omdim, ve'edav benehem. He comes and he says, if you see a group of people that are standing, the edim are there. And he tells them, Mashpiani lechem, and yodim li'edush tuvunuduni. Yachol yuchayav, I would have thought you were going to be chayav. Tomorrow, v'hu ed. Farelu yiched edav. He wasn't miya'ed. He wasn't miyached the edim. So says the Gemara, Yachol afilu amar kol ha'omdim kan, everybody here, tamunumar v'hu ed. He has to come and he has to be miyached. He has to designate the witnesses. In all these cases, if he doesn't designate the witness, it's nothing. Fourth case. Amali Shnaim. He comes and he tells two witnesses. Mashpian elechem, that you know edut. And at the end, they only knew it through ed mipi ed. Ed mipi ed is hearsay, or somebody else testifying to them. They're going to be patur. Or one of them was a karov pasul. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Amali Shnaim, he comes and he says to two people. Mashpian elechem, ploni uploni. Im atem yodim leedut shetavur v'tunin. Vehen yodim leedut ed mipi ed. O sheyachamen karov pasul. Yachol you chayavin. I would have thought that they say they're going to be chayavin. Talmud Lomar comes to teach you im lo yagiv nasa avono bereuyin la'agada katuv medaber. It has to be people that are fitting for haggadah, fitting for testimony. These two people, are they fitting for testimony? Yes or no? Obviously what? Obviously not. Why not though? Yeah, what's the reason? Why? One. Yeah. You have, if a person right now didn't see the testimony himself, so he becomes pasul from ed mipi ed. Ed mipi ed means he cannot testify. What happens if the person is a family member? So he can't testify. What happens right now if a person is going to be disqualified because, for example, he gambles? So therefore also. So in any of these scenarios, what? You don't need all three. It's one, right? There are different reasons. Yeah. So therefore, for any of these reasons, right, a person will become disqualified. Since they are disqualified from testifying in the Bedin, so therefore, what happens is it doesn't count. Even if I told them, I want you to testify. I want you to swear to me. They swear. Doesn't help. Because they're not kosher edim. If they're not kosher edim, they're patur. Until you're clear? Very good. So says the Gemara, Shalach biyad avdo, if he sends it in the hands of his servant. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita, Shalach biyad avdo, או שאמר להן הנתבע, משפיעני עליכם שאם אתם יודעים לי עדות, שתבואו תדוני, יכול יהיו חייבים. תלמוד לומר, אם לא יגיב ונשא עוונו. Right? My Talmud, what does that mean exactly? Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar, im lo yagid ktiv. It's written im lo, right? It's written vav, with a vav. Everyone saw the word? Im lo, it's not written, it's written lamed vav aleph. Yeah, so what does that mean? Right? So he comes and he says, we're making a drasha. Lo, right? And lo. What does that mean? Lo is to him, correct? With a vav. And lo with an aleph means no. So how does it work? Im lo, if it's the toveat small that he's making him swear, lo yagid, right? And he's going to be kofer, then, right? Nasavono. Vim le acher lo yagid, patur. It has to be im lo yagid. If to him he's not going to say it, then nasavono. Then he's going to carry the burden of a sin. But if it's going to be le'acher shu lo magid, who's not going to be nasavono? Meaning, in order for him to be chayav, it has to be that he's not giving the testimony to him. No to him. Again, lo is no, with an aleph. Lo with a vav is what? To him. So it has to be that he's not giving the testimony to him. If he's not going to give the testimony to him, then nasavono. Then he's going to carry the burden of sin. If it's going to be to anybody else, no. Fine. Next Mishnah. Mishnah on the bottom of Lamed He Amud Aleph towards the bottom. Right? Mashbia ani alechem, mitzaveh ani alechem, osarchem ani, right? Arelu chayavim. Whether he comes and he tells them, I want you to swear to me, or I'm commanding you, mitzaveh ani alechem, or osarchem ani, right? So he comes and he says, in any of these cases, he's going to be a chayav, a korban. Yeah? The Gemara is going to explain. Then he says, if he comes and he says, Yishbia edim b'shamayim u'va'aretz, the heavens and the earth, and they were kofer, they're going to be pturim. Be'alef daled, he was mashbiam with alef daled non yod, right? This is the name of Hashem, right? Alef daled, and then the non yod, right? Or yud k, or shakai, or tzvakot, or chanun, rachum, or at a chapayim v'rav chesed, right? Uvechol hakinuyim hare'elu hayavim. They're going to be chayav. So means he doesn't have to actually be mashpia otam davka b'shem mefurash, even if it's going to be, right, with any of the names of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, or any kinuyim, or anything else as well, he's going to be hayav. Hamkalel bekulan. If somebody's going to curse with any of these names that we just counted, we just numerated above, also they're going to be hayav, mita, and sekila. These are the words of Rabbi Meir, right? But hachamim potrin. Chachamim say they're going to be patur until he's going to be mikalel b'shem amyuhad. Yeah, it's not going to be, right, these other names, only with Shem amyuhad. Hamkalel aviv imo. Right, somebody's going to curse his father and mother. Bekulan hayav tivir Rabbi Meir. Hachamim potrin ad shekalem b'shem amyuchad. The Gemara is going to explain it in Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. Yeah, amkalel atzmo v'chavero. So the person is going to curse himself and his friend. He's going to be over belo ta'aseh. Yeah, that means if a person is going to curse himself or his friend, he's going to be transgressing a negative commandment. Here, there's no machloket. It's divrei hakol, and the Gemara is going to explain. Right? Again, we're going to see in the Gemara. Yeah. Last one, Yakecha Hashem. We're going back to Shevuat Edut. Yakecha Hashem. If a person comes and he says that Hashem will smite him, if he's not going to come and he's not going to testify, or he tells them Yakechem, right? Elokim. Zuya lak tuva b'Torah. That is the curse which is written in the Torah, even though he didn't mention a lashon of Shevuah. If he comes and he tells one witness, Al yekicha im yeduni, or yivrecha, right? Or he says, V'yitiv lecha, Rabbi Meir says you're going to be chayav, because from the negative you see the positive. So if I come and I tell you, you should be blessed if you do come to testify about me, from the, you know from the negative, right? I mean, it's the other way around, if you don't come, right? But that's the shita of Rabbi Meir. But according to Chachamim, you're going to be patur. Again, obviously, the Gemara is going to explain every single part of this Mishnah. Let's start. We're going to start. Mashbiani alechem. Right? My kama. What does it mean? This is this is going to be a Shevuah. What does that mean here? So I'm going to review that says, this is what it means to say. Mashbiani alechem bishvuah mura b'Torah. When he says Mashbiani alechem, I'm going to swear unto you, it means that I'm making you swear in the Shevuah, which is written in the Torah. Or Mitzavani lechem mitzavah amura b'Torah. Or Osarchem ani bezisur amura b'Torah. So in all these things, it has to do with that which is in the Torah. Says the Gemara, Elmaleh Abaye comes and he asks the following question. Ela hadetani Rabbi Chia. That which Rabbi Chia came and he taught in a Braita, Kovelchem. What does this mean exactly, Kovelchem ani? He comes and he says it's like a lashon of tying together. When I tie you together with like le'esor malchem bezikim, v'nichvedem bechavle barzel. So right, kovelim. So he comes and he says like this. He says, Harelu chayavim, are they going to be chayav? Kovel is beoraita miktiv, is written mefurash in the Torah, that is going to be an isur doraita. I told you it could be in Tilim, but is it in the Torah? Elhamar Rabbi, but rather Rabbi says, this is what I'm going to say. Mashpiani lechem b'shvuah, mitzaviani lechem b'shvuah, satamani b'shvuah, right? Or kovelchem ani b'shvuah, meaning that he has to say the word Shevuah. Even if he's going to say whether it's a command, whether it's going to be like tying you up to it, commanding you to it, but I have to say the words that it's bishvuah. It's not just mashpiani lechem, right? Or mashpiani lechem, or osranani lechem. It has to be with, he has to say it. Mashpiani lechem bishvuah. Mitzavani lechem bishvuah. Osarchem ani lechem bishvuah. Kolbechem bishvuah. Okay? Fine. Next part. We said, what happens with the other names of Hashem? So we said whether it's going to be Aleph Dal Yud Hey, or the Shakai, Tzevakot, Chanun, Rachum, Rechvayim, Rechesed, you're going to be Chayav. Right? That was Machloket, Rabbi Meir, and Hachamim. Lemeimra de Chanun, Rachum, Shemoninu. Are you going to tell me that Rachum and Chanun are Shemot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Or meaning we have a contradiction. Yes, Shemot meaning Chakin, yes, Shemot shenem Chakin. Certain names can be erased, and certain names cannot be erased. Right? What are the names which cannot be erased? Kigon, Kel, Kelokecha, right? Elokecha, Elokim, Elokechem, Eyeh Asher Yeh, Aleph Daled, right? Yud Hey, right? You've got the Shakai, Tzevakot. All these names are names which cannot be erased. Everyone understood?
You say erased, what do you mean?
Well, what?
What do you mean?
Erased. If you write it down anywhere, you can erase it. Yeah, yeah. You take a piece of paper, you write down the name of one of the names of Hashem. You're not allowed to erase it. That's it, right? Now, the same thing. Same thing. No. Yes, because the Machshev is not considered writing. These ones you cannot come and you cannot erase. Aval Hagadol Gibor Ra Adir Hechazak Amitz Zuz Chanun Rachum Rechpai Rechesed Harelu Michakin. Right, these ones can be erased. So you see from here that Chanun Rachum, right, they're not kadosh because you could erase them. So what are you telling me now that Kilu that if they're going to come and they're going to do Chanun Rachum is nothing. So Abaye says Matnitin. Right, our Mishnah is dealing with where the person is going to be mashpia dedim bechanun or rachum b'mishehu chanun, right? Lamed Hamud Bet, right? 35b. B'mishehu rachum kama. It doesn't say just rachum and chanun, because rachum and chanun is just mercy, compassion. No. It's b'mishehu rachum or b'mishehu chanun. So therefore, I would have thought to say that here it's going to be meaning chanun in itself is nothing. But when you say mishu chanun, so then it is. It's like a kilut Hashem. So ask the Gemara. Elmaleh Rava has asked the Achiv, so B'Shamim Varetz Nami. If you say B'Shamim Varetz, also B'Misha B'Shamim Varetz Shelo Kama. It meant that to whoever the Shamayim Varetz belongs to. So says the Gemara, Hachiyash, can you compare both cases? Hatam over there, there's nothing else which is called Rachum Mechanun. But so obviously it refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when you say Rachum Mechanun. Hacha over here to do the Shevuos of Shamayim Varetz. Kevan Deika, there does exist Shamayim Varetz, right? So B'Shamayim Varetz Kaman. So for obviously it means the Shamayim Mamash and not it's Mamash. Meaning there's no such thing as Rachum, right? Or Chanun, right? There's actually somebody called Rachamim, right? But not usually you don't have a person that's called Rachum, right? Or a person that's called Chanun. So therefore there, when you say Rachum and Chanun, you're referring to Hashem. When you say Shamayim is actual Shamayim, the firmament, right? The Aretz is the land, right? We're not talking about Shalom. We didn't speak about Shalom. Right, so therefore here he says that when you're going to come and you're going to mention Shamayim V'Aretz could mean Be'emet Shamayim V'Aretz. So therefore it's nothing. When you say Chanun Rachum, I had a Havamina that is referring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Tanu Rabbanan we learned in the Braita. Katav Aleph Lamed Melokim. What happens if you wrote Kel, but really Be'emet you wanted to write down Elokim, meaning you didn't want to just write down Aleph Lamed. You wanted to write down Elokim. But when you write Elokim, you start with Aleph Lamed, right? What is Halacha? Harei Zeh Lo Nimchak. Right? Do we say that you can't erase it? Right? Because at the end of the day, you wrote down Kel. Meaning we said over here in the previous Gemara, we said Kel, Elokecha, Elokim. So Kel is already the name of Hashem. But now what happens if I wanted to write down Elokim? So the Kel of Elokim, I didn't finish the name. I really wanted to write down Elokim, not El. Right? So that's the question. So the question is, what's Halacha? So says the Gemara, right? Or, for example, I write down Yod K. I wrote down the Yud K of the name of Hashem, Yud K Vav K. So you can't erase it anymore. Meaning, even though you didn't finish the name of Hashem, the fact that you wrote these two letters, whether the Aleph Lamed or the Yud K, that's already enough that you're not allowed to erase it. Shin Dalet Mishatai, right? Shin Dalet of Shakai, or Aleph Dalet from Adnut, or Tzadi Bet from Tzivakot. You could erase it, right? Here you could erase it because all of these names is not Kadosh in itself. Right? That means even if you did write more than two letters, right? You didn't do anything, right? Meaning Shakai, obviously it's only three letters. What? No, but if you had a kavanah of a longer name. Oh, one second. So he says here, Rabbi Yosef says, Tzivakot kulon nimchak. Right? Shelo nikra tzivakot el Hashem Yisrael. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is only called tzivakot because of Yisrael. Shneimar, ve'oseti et tzivotai, so in all of these cases, according to this shita, tzivakot you could erase. So there's machloket to do with tzivakot. But other than tzivakot, the other ones you do have it. So here we're going to make a differentiation between which names of Hashem did you write. Obviously, you wanted to write Hashem, right? But here, the Shem Hashem that you wanted to write was Yud Ke Vav Ke, but I only wrote Yud Ke. But Yud Ke in itself is already a name of Hashem. Or I wanted to write Elokim, but I only wrote Aleph Lamed, right? Or even if, right, now you cannot, right? Fine. Next Gemara, Shmuel says Shmuel, En halacha Rabbi Yosef. We do not pass like Rabbi Yosef, which means sevakot cannot be erased. Okay.
What happens to start?
The next Braita says, we learned to the Braita. Kol tafel Hashem ben milefanav ben mishilacharav harez nimchak. Anything which is going to be tafel to the name of Hashem can be erased, right? Whether beforehand or afterwards. So, for example, you remember we mentioned this many times of Moshe and Kalev. You remember we mentioned this? Moshe and Kalev. So Hashem, Hashem Elokav. Right? La Shem Yeshua Milcham Zela. Right? All these things are called otiyot, right? Mishamshot, which means it's an ot shimush. So look what it says over here. It says anything which is tafel Hashem, whether it's going to be before and afterwards, it could be erased. Lefanav, what is it? The lamed, right? La Shem, right? Ladonai Yeshua Milcham Zela. That's the lamed, right? Or for example, right? Ba Hashem, right? He says over here the old bet, the hey, the vav nimchak me Hashem, the mem is nimchak, the shin is nimchak, the hey is nimchak, the kaf is nimchak, right? So I already told you it's otiyot Kalev and Moshe. Okay, lacharav keitzad, you have the nun and the vav, right? So for example, elokeh nu, right, or elokeh hem, right, the hey mem, or elokeh chem, the chaf mem, meaning anything which is exactly either the siyum or the atfala. So therefore, right, otiyot shemishiyot. Yeah, the prefix and suffix. Yeah. Okay. So he comes now and he says this. Acherim omrim. Yeah, other people they come and they say, La'acharav eno nimchak. Afterwards, you're not allowed to read it. Why? Yeah, he says like this. Acherim omrim acharav is not going to be nimchak. Why is it not going to be nimchak? Shekvar kiddusho Hashem. Meaning, if it's before the name of Hashem, it's still not holy. So therefore, since it was still not holy, I could come and I could erase that lamed, or I could erase the mem, right, or whatever it is. Afterwards, it's already holy, because I already wrote the name of Hashem. So for afterwards, the otiyot basof, otiyot sofiyot, that I cannot come and I could erase. This is a shita of acherim. Ravuna comes and he finishes off. The halacha is like acherim. So in this case, right, the halacha is like acherim, that you cannot erase the letters which are afterwards. The ones before, you could. Now we're going to bring 1 minute. Yeah, we're going to bring a siman to remember now the psukim that we're going to mention. Whether it's going to be Avram, Telatya, Lenavot, Megiva, Binyamin, Shlomo, Daniel, right? That is going to be the siman. Okay, so let's start. The Gemara says like this: Kol shemot ha'omrim b'Torah, all the names which are written in the Torah, right? By Avram Avinu is going to be Kodesh. Chutz mizeh shu chol, except for one which is going to be chol. Shneimar vayomer, right? So Avram Avinu comes and he says, Adonai namatzatich menecha al na tavor me'al avdecha. Here, when it says the name of Hashem, kilu, this one is really be'emet chol. Why? Because he's speaking to the malachim. He's not speaking to Hashem. Meaning, whenever it says Amonai, right, usually speaking to my God, my master. But which master is it? So he's speaking, it's Kodesh. Kodesh means he's referring to Hashem. There's only one which he's not referring to Hashem. When he tells the Malachim, Hashem, again, Amonai, my masters, right, he tells them, if I find favor in your eyes, don't pass by me and come to my house. There it's going to be Chol, not Kodesh. Chanina ben Achi, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Mishum Rabbi Elazar Amodai. Comes Chanina ben Achi, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, in the name of Rabbi Elazar Amodai. Amru, they come and they say, Afze Kodesh. No, this is Kodesh. Yeah, what does that mean? He's speaking to Hashem. He's not speaking to the Malachim. Yeah, always you have to go ahead. You never ask questions in the middle. Yeah. No, it's a local. So he comes and he says like this. He says, right? He says, Hanina, the son of Rabbi Yoshua, he comes and he says, sorry, they're not the son, this is the nephew of Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says in the name of Rabbi Elazar Amodai, that he says, this is also Kodesh. Right? Why? Because since he was just speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so if he was speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he's asking Hashem, please, al na ta'avor me'alavdecha, meaning Hashem, he wasn't speaking to the Malachim and telling them, please, don't go by me, right? And come to my house. He was speaking by Hashem, and he was telling Hashem, please don't leave me. Stay here. Let me just go 1 minute. I'm going to serve the guests, and I'm going to come back. So says the Gemara, Keman Azla, who does that go like? Hadam Rav Yudam Rav, that which Rav Yudam Rav says, Kedolach Achnasat Orchim Yoter Me'Kabbalat Pnei Shechina, that Achnasat Orchim is even greater than Me'Kabbalat Pnei Shechina, obviously, like this Zug. Meaning like this, if you're going to tell me that it's talking about Chol, meaning we have a Pasuk in the Torah, and obviously the Gemara is analyzing the Pasuk in the Torah, and the first one, right, which is going to be the Tanakama, they come and they say all the Shemot in the Torah is going to be except for this, right, Pasuk. So it comes out that if I'm going to ask you, how do you know that Achnasat Orchim is greater than Kabbalat Pnei Shechina? You don't have a proof. Why don't you have a proof? Because he wasn't speaking to Hashem, he was speaking to the Malachim. He was speaking to Malachim. He comes and he tells the Malachim, huh? No, כתוב עמוני. נון יוד. עכשיו, בדרך כלל, א' ד' נון יוד זה או אדוני, או, right, שזה my master, right? או לפעמים זה עמוני, which is הקדוש ברוך הוא. So now the question is, right, and even with עמוני, it depends with the patach or kamatz. There's a whole thing there. But there's a Rabbeinu B'chayim. Right? But basically, the concept now is, what is the explanation in the pasuk? So according to the Tanakama, he comes and tells you, it's Lashon Chol. Now, if it's going to be Lashon Chol, he's speaking to the Malachim. He's speaking to the Malachim, right? Nobody ever told you that Achnasat Orchim is greater than Kabbalat Pnei Shechina. However, though, if you're going to hold like the other Zug, which is, this is the pair, right? Zug is a pair, right? So the other pair was Chanina, right? The nephew of Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Odei. So these are two people. So if you're going to hold like this pair, right, that they come and they say, no, it's also Kodesh. He's referring to Hashem. So according to this pair, he's speaking to Hashem and he's telling him to Hashem, please wait, I have to do Achnasat Orchim. So from here, according to this pair, we're going to learn Achnasat Orchim, right, Yoter Me'Kabbalat Pnei Shechina. Yeah, fine. Says the Gemara, right? A next part. Yeah? Ma? Right? Now we just finished. So one more time. If somebody is going to ask you what is the explanation in the pasuk, you're going to tell them there's two different shitot in the Gemara, okay? And they're both emet lamito. Next, kol shemot amurim belot. All the names which are written by Lot, they're all chol, which means that you could erase them, except for this one which is kodesh. Shneimar vayomer Lot alehem alna Hashem hine matzav dechachem menecha. So here I didn't say that. Actually, it was here it's kodesh, meaning here it is the name of Hashem. So he says, Mi sheyesh biyado la'amit ulachiyot, ze HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because basically, Lot comes and he tells them, please, my masters, if I find favor in your eyes and I'm going to have chesed and everything, please let me live. Now there, who's he talking to? He's talking to Hashem. Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that gives biyado la'amit ulachiyot. Okay? So therefore, from here you see that all the other names by Lot is the exact opposite. So he's by Lot, all the names are chol, except for one which is kodesh. By Avraham, all of them are Kodesh except for one, which was Chol. Kol Shemot Amurim Benavot, right? And right, all the names which are written by Navot. This is Navot Israeli, right? And Pesel Micha. Okay, so this is going to be in Melachim Aleph when we're talking about the Rachav, the king of Israel, right? He went and he asked from Navot Israeli to sell him his vineyard, right, which was right beside the king. So he wanted the first rights, like of the vineyard right beside it. Now he didn't want because it came from his fathers. So therefore she went and she got false witnesses, and they went and he said that he cursed Hashem and the king. Now she was a Reshait. This is Izebel, right? Isabel. She was a very big Reshait. So she came, right? She came and she got witnesses, false witnesses, that he cursed Hashem and he cursed HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So they went and they stoned him to death, right? Just like Nokev Shem Hashem. So what happens is like this: all the names which are brought down by Nachon Navot Israeli, right, is going to be Kodesh, and by Micha it's going to be Chol. Okay, so now he comes and he says, right, as follows. Okay, there the footnote brings down different psukim, right, of what exactly Mo Hekdesh Kesef Hashem. Okay, fine. So he comes and he says now like this. He says, Eliezer Omen, Benavot is going to be Kodesh. Bemicha, some of them are Kodesh, and some of them are going to be Chol. Right? So how does that work? Aleph Lamed, whenever it says Aleph Lamed, for example, Elokim Elokenu, is Chol. The Yod K is going to be Kodesh. Chutz Mizeh, except for this one, which is written Aleph Lamed, and it is Kodesh, where it says, V'yasimu lahem pesel micha, asher asa kol yemei heyot bet ha'elokim b'shilo. There it is Elokim because it's actually Kodesh. So again, There's a machloket by Micha. For sure, by Navot, it's going to be Kodesh. Now we're going back to the Milchama between the Shiftei Israel and the Shevet Binyamin. Remember, everyone remembers the story of Pilegesh Begiva? Pilegesh Begiva was a famous story by Binyamin, right? You remember what happened was that somebody by Binyamin, he had a Pilegesh, right? And what happened is that there's a whole machloket in the Gemara. What exactly did he find? But she went and she ran away to her parents' house. He went to the parents' house to try to appease her, right, and bring her back. And all of a sudden, the people of Binyamin, they came to the door and they wanted to have relations with him, right? So what they did was, at the end, they sent her out. What? Yes, men with him. So what happened was they sent her out. And they basically had relations with her the entire night, right? Because he had a lot of people there, right? And basically what happened was that she died. Yeah?
He there also.
No. She died because of the thing. I understood it was from the relations. And what happens is that the husband comes, he cuts her up into different pieces, and he sends her to every single one of the Shvatim. And he says, look what Binyamin did. So the Shvatim come to Binyamin and they tell them, listen, yeah, what's going on? Give us the perpetrators. Give us these people that they're these bandits. Yeah, give them to us. They didn't want. So there was a civil war. All of Bnei Israel against Shevet Binyamin. Right? There were a lot of people that died on both sides. But finally, Shevet Binyamin was almost obliterated. Right? There were 600 men left over of Shevet Binyamin. Think about it. You have an entire tribe, right? That even if during the thousands and tens of thousands, and by the time it came to then, it was much more. And all of a sudden, there was 600 men surviving. Yeah, that's what it was. So mamash, they were almost wiped off the map. So it says over here like this: Kol hashemot amurim begivat Binyamin. All the names which are brought down by Givat Binyamin. Rabbi Eliezer says they're going to be Chol. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, there's going to be Kodesh. Amalo, Rabbi Eliezer says, Rabbi Eliezer, V'chi maftiach v'noseh. He says, what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be maftiach and he's not going to do? Right? The first times also they came and they asked, right? Should they come and should they do it? Should they go against, right? Binyamin, right? And for sure, right? They wasn't asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They asked Avodah Zarah. So Amalo, Rabbi Yeshua says, Rabbi Yeshua, Ma shivtiach asa. What are you talking about? The first time they said, Mi ya'aleh lemilchama, should they go up? And they said, Yehuda batchila. The second time it says, Hausif legesha lemilchama, and they said, Alu elav. Vehem lo bichanu, they didn't realize, right? Im limsoach or linatzach, right? Whether it's going to be that they're going to win or they're going to be won. So he says, Bacharona, the third time, when they already paid attention, he skimu al yadan. Then he said that you guys are going to win. Shneimar fi chas ben Elazar ben Ano Kohen omer lefanav yamimahem. Lemon haosef od latzeh lemilchama im benem yamin achi im echtal. Should they go out or not? So therefore, again, you have over here a machloka between Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer. Is it going to be Shem Kodesh or Shem Chol? 1 minute. Kol Shlomo. Anytime that it says Shlomo, which is brought down in Shira Shirim, is going to be Kodesh. Right? He says, because he says Shira Shirim Ashali Shlomo. Why? Shir lemisha shalom shelo. Meaning, when it said over there, Lishlomo, it meant the Shira Shirim, Asher lemisha shalom lo. So it's basically the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Chutz mizeh, except for this one. Karmi sheli lefanai, ha'elef lecha shalomo. Because there, the pshat is, Shlomo ledidei. Shlomo Melech himself. Meaning, until now, right? I'm sure a lot of us didn't know this, that Shlomo, until now, what he's saying is that Shlomo was not Shlomo Melech. When it says Shira Shirim Ashali Shlomo, it's Shira Shirim, which is to the Misha Shalom Shelo, which is basically HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not Shlomo Melech. Yeah? Now, except for one. Except for one. 1 minute. Except for one. Karmi Sheli Lefanai, Hailef Lecha Shlomo. Because there it says Shlomo Dideh. Right? And what does it say also? Right? What does that mean? Right? You got 200 people. Right? Shlomo Melech is going to come, the guy Sam Lavodato, in order that he should be Rabbanan. Some people say no. Afsechol. This is also chol. Because it says, right, Shlomo, meaning like this. According to the first explanation, which is the Tanakama, he said every Shlomo is going to be Kodesh except for one. What's the one? The Yeshomrim argue, they say, no, there's another one. There's two of them. What's the second one? So the Gemara says, Af ze velo mi bayehech. When it says Af ze is chol, right? That means this is also chol. So it's mashma, right? That you didn't have to say that the first one was going to be chol. But this is what Shmuel says: Malchuta dekat lachad meshita be'alma. When you have a malchut that is going to kill a sixth of the population, right? Which means it's going to come and it's going to be megayes one every six for the avodat hamelech. Lomi anshe is not going to be punished. Neemar kami sheli lifanai haelef lecha shalomo. Meaning, kol elef anashim that they're going to be makdish their lives to HaKadosh Baruch Hu lemalchuto derekia for avodat malchut shamayim umatayim lenotrim epidyon. You're going to have 200 malchuta de'ara, which is going to be the malchut of the aretz to do the land, the avodah of the land. So according to the shita of Shemuel, when it says Ha'elef lecha Shalomo, again that's actually HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And so Shemuel is not like the Tanakama and not like the Yeshomrim. We have a three-way machloket over here. You have Tanakama, you have Yeshomrim, and then you have Shemuel. Three different shitot. Yeah, according to the Tanakama, every Shalomo means Hashem except for one. Ha'elef lecha Shalomo. According to the Yeshomrim, there's two. What is the second one? According to Shemuel, no. The Ha'elef lecha Shalomo is also Kodesh. Yeah, that's also Kodesh. So therefore, it's like a third shita. Okay? Ela, but rather, Hachi Kamer. This is what it means to say. Yeshomrim ze Kodesh ve chol. Meaning, it's not Yeshomrim af ze chol. It's also chol, meaning that there's two things which are chol. It says, no, this is also Kodesh. Ha'elef lecha Shalomo is Kodesh. But there's another one which is chol. Which is the other one which is chol? Temitato. Ushmuel damar, and Shmuel says, like the Yeshomrim. Okay. Kol malchaya, any melachim which is brought down in Daniel is chol. Yeah, he says, because when it says melech, right, it's he says over here, kol makom shneimar bo melech v'lashon hakodesh aramit, it's talking about chol, except for this one, it says ant malka melech malchaya, diela shemaya malchuta chistav dakva v'ikara yavlach. Yeshomrim and says, no, this is also kodesh, but there's another one that says marich elma lesanach ufishre larach. Right, again, Adoni Yachul, right, we're talking about again HaKadosh Baruch Hu or not. Leman Kamar, according to the one, he says, who's he saying it to? Isal Kadai, you're going to tell me now Nebuchadnezzar Kamalei. So he says, who's the Sorim of Nebuchadnezzar? Israel? Melet Kalai Liul Israel. He says, what? Daniel is coming and cursing Israel? What's going on here? So he says, V'tanakama Savar, Sonei Israeli ka Sonei Avdei Kochavim Leka. He says, no. He says, what? He only had Sonim that were Israel, not Sonim of Avdei Kochavim. Meaning, even a Goy, he's also got Sonim. And it doesn't have to be Jews. Meaning, no matter how much he hates the Jews, he also has people that he hates, which are going to be, right, Goyim. So therefore, obviously, he's referring to, right, the okay, Uvechol, Lamedhe Arba. Yeah, he says, Kinuim, Uvechol Kinuim Arelu Chayvim. Well, meaning we have a contradiction. Yiten Hashem otach le'alav lishua. Matramu lomar. What does it mean now? Halok kvar ne'eman, it already says, V'shvi ha'kohen et ha'isha b'shua ta'ala. So you see from here that Allah, right, is also extra. Just like over there, Allah is a Shevuos. So to here, Allah is a Shevuos. Just like over there is B'Shem Hashem, because it says Yiten Hashem Otach. So to here is B'Shem Hashem. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi says Lakashia. It's not a question, right? He says Ha Rabbi Chanina Maridi, Ha Rabbanan. It's a machloket. Why? The time we learned to the right, Rabbi Chanina Maridi Yomer. Hoil v'amrat Torah Hi Shava. Since the Torah comes and it says you're obligated to do a Shevuah, there we're talking about a shomer, right? That his pikadon died or it was broken. Meaning, imagine right now, I come and I give you my shor. You're watching over my animal, and all of a sudden it dies or it breaks or whatever it is. So you have to swear that that's actually what happened. And not that you went and you started using it and I don't know what, and then it was killed. You know, like meaning that you have to swear. Ve'al tishava, right? Or we see also in a case where ve'lo tishavel b'shimin l'shakel, kalel, right? The same thing to do with lekalel, which is basically that they were mashbia the sotah, but it says Yiten Hashem otach le'ala ve'al tekalel and Elohim lo tekalel cheresh. Mahi shava b'shem, so to tishava is also b'shem, just like kilel is b'shem, so to lo b'shem, meaning that whenever we're talking about Shevuah or we're talking about klala, it always has to be with Hashem. It always has to be with the name of Hashem. It cannot be in any other name. But according to the rabbis, if you're going to learn the Gezerah Shava, you buy Hashem Miyuchad, so then you need the name of Kadosh Baruch Hu, not any other kinui. And if you're not going to learn the Gezerah Shava, so Allah Dishwa Minale, how do you know then? That Allah is going to be a Shevuah. At the end of the day, it has to be the name of Hashem Mamash. Can't just be any kinui. So he says, Nafkalu, he learns it from that which we learned Allah, אין עלה ללשון שבועה, וכן הוא אומר, והשפיע הכהן את האישה בשבועת העלה. So he says, from the fact that there it says שבועת העלה, Allah is kilu translation. It's a synonym. For what? Shivua. So says the Gemara, yeah, but there it says שבועת העלה. If it says שבועת העלה, I'm going to tell you it's a shivua. But if it doesn't tell you שבועת העלה, how do you know that Allah by itself means a shivua? So he comes and he says, Hachi, come on, this is what it means to say. Allah en Allah ela b'shvua. Whenever it says the word Allah, Allah always means shivua because it says in the pasuk, Vishpia kohen et haisha b'shvuat Allah. So therefore you see that the Allah over there is a klala, which is going to be derech shivua. Okay, and then obviously we're going to continue, right?